Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Joe Gromack, Chair of the Board of Trustees of the New School. On behalf of David Van Zandt, our President, our students, our faculty, and staff, we welcome all of you to campus. As the Center for Active Design is introduced to the public, I'm delighted that the Mayor's Office asked the New School to serve as today's host. Mayor Bloomberg, you've been a great friend of the New School. Thank you. Here at Shield Johnson Design Center, we're only steps away from the University Center, the academic, residential, and social campus hub that will open for classes in 2014. The university will be a game changer for the New School. Actually, students will be inhabiting these buildings as of the September, in the opening of the school year. As you will learn today, it's a bold design also marks a new kind of building for a revitalized New York City. Under Mayor Bloomberg's leadership, New York City has been transformed in ways that resonate with everyone at the New School. The mayor's focus of areas of environmental, social, and economic progress dovetails perfectly with faculty interests and student needs. A grant from the Department of Environmental Protection funded construction on the University Center's green roof, which helps reduce polluted runoff into cities' harbors with stormwater capture. Government support of the creative arts, fashion, digital technology industries has thrilled graduates embarking on new careers. And when the fall semester begins in a few weeks, you will see this campus literally overrun by New York's successful new bike share program, as you can see outside. The initiative being introduced today is part of this mayor's vision, the guiding principle of the Center for Creative Design. The alignment of design with improved health is entirely consistent with the New School mission to challenge the status quo and make the world a better place. As the institutional home of Parsons, the New School sees active design as a vital component to creating and sustaining healthier urban lives. Today, I'm pleased to welcome David Burney, Commissioner of Design and Construction, Thomas Farley, Commissioner of Health, Johanna Frank, Executive Director, Center for Active Design, Leah Gartner, New School Vice President for Design, Construction, and Facilities, and Roger Duffy, Design Partner, Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, and the architect of the University Center. It is now my great privilege to welcome the Mayor of New York City, the Honorable Michael R. Bloomberg.
Well, Joe, thank you. You should know when I first came to New York City in 1966, it was either 66 or 67, I took courses at the New School. I vaguely remember philosophy and art appreciation. Whether I ever learned anything is a separate issue, but I have nothing but good memories of my time here. Anyways, good afternoon, everyone. Before we get to today's subject, I did want to first address the extremely hot and humid weather that we're experiencing that is likely to continue at least through tomorrow night. This weather can be dangerous, especially if you don't have air conditioning or if you're elderly or have a chronic heart condition or health condition. If that applies to you, it really is important to be in a cool, air-conditioned place during the hottest hours of the day. There are 425 cooling centers open around the city for their location hours, and for more information on avoiding heat-related illnesses, visit nyc.gov or call 311. And this is not a joke. I know everybody says, well, I'm tougher than the heat, but the bottom line is you have to drink a lot of water and wear light clothing and stay out of, avoid some exercise if you can in the middle of the day. We have had additional emergency personnel and ambulances on call this week, as we do on during all heat waves. But remember, you can be very helpful by checking in on family and friends and neighbors, especially seniors, to making sure they're okay and in a cool place. You've just got to stay hydrated. That's really one of the keys. If you feel weak or faint, go to a cool place right away and drink water. If there is no improvement, call a doctor or 911. The weather can be extremely dangerous also for pets, so please use some common sense with your pets. Same thing as you. Give them plenty of water, limit their exercise, and never leave pets alone in a parked car. On the positive side, we've experienced only a few very minor power outages across the city, even though electricity usage has been at record levels this week. and a lot of credit is due to Con Ed making necessary investments the last couple of years that are helping us to avoid the major power failures we used to have during heat waves. So today's not a great day to exercise, but let me get around to the subject du jour, and that makes it very much exception to the rule. On days that aren't extremely hot and humid, physical activity is one of the most important parts of a healthy lifestyle, and one of the best ways to avoid the health problems associated with obesity, like diabetes, heart disease, strokes, and other serious health problems. These problems affect far too many New Yorkers. In fact, obesity is the second leading cause of preventable death in our city, just after smoking. And that's why we've worked so hard to turn the tables on the epidemic and help more people avoid their terrible health consequences. We've launched ad campaigns to keep New Yorkers informed about smart diet choices and required calorie counts on menu boards. We've also launched efforts to make buildings and public spaces a bigger part of a healthy, active lifestyle. And as you know, we've created something like 750 acres of new parks with the goal of having every New Yorker within a 10-minute walk of a park or a playground. We've added more than 350 miles of bike lanes in the last 5 years, launched the nation's biggest bike share program, City Bike, and taken steps to make sure streets are safer for both pedestrians and cyclists. And in 2010, we convened experts from every sector to create what we call Active Design Guidelines, ADG. These guidelines recognize that buildings are often designed in ways that minimize physical activity, and that simple design elements like making stairways more visible, convenient, and easy to access can be the difference between buildings that add to a healthy lifestyle and versus those that contribute to an unhealthy lifestyle. When we established the Obesity Task Force in 2012, we expanded our efforts to fight the epidemic. We've helped make more buildings and public spaces incorporate these guidelines a high priority. And today we're announcing new initiatives that we think will help us to do just that. First, we're officially launching the Center for Active Design, a new public-private partnership led by the city that will work to reduce obesity through smart design of buildings, streets, and neighborhoods. The center, which is chaired by Design and Construction Commissioner David Burney, is one of the recommendations to come out of our Obesity Task Force, and it's the very first of its kind. It will help city agencies adopt active design guidelines and will work with other cities around the world as they work to incorporate these guidelines into their own buildings and public spaces. It will focus on 4 areas: promoting active transportation options like walking, cycling, and mass transit, incorporate design elements that encourage physical activity in buildings, create recreational spaces for all ages, interests, and abilities, and improve access to healthy foods in neighborhoods where they've been hard to find, which has been another major focus of our anti-obesity efforts. The center will also help city agencies implement the second piece of today's announcement, an executive order I've signed requiring agencies to find opportunities to incorporate active design elements in new buildings or renovation projects. The executive order also requires agencies to look for ways to encourage stairway use, and that design and construction teams be made familiar with our active design guidelines. The new Center for Active Design will help us make that possible by providing technical assistance and training to city agencies. Third, we're also submitting for City Council approval 2 pieces of legislation that will encourage the use of stairways in buildings. The first requires new construction and major renovation projects to provide access to a continuous interior stairway and to post signs near elevators that encourage stair use. The second increases the visibility of stairways by permitting devices that hold certain stairway doors open and then automatically shut them if there is a fire or other emergency, instead of keeping those doors closed all the time, which is currently required. The new school's new University Center here on 5th Avenue is a great example of active design principles in action, including the remarkable multi-level staircase visible from the building's exterior. It is a great new addition to a great New York institution, and we're glad the new building is helping highlight some of the benefits of active design and show how handsome these elements can be at the same time. So now let me turn the floor over to some other speakers, beginning with Design and Construction Commissioner David Burney, who also serves as board chair for the Center for Active Design. David?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the Mayor pointed out, the benefits of physical activity are pretty widely recognized. Whether you're tall or short, fat or thin, you'll be healthier and you'll live longer if you're more active. But the problem is that we've been lulled into a sedentary lifestyle, and as architects and planners, we've in the past been part of the problem. We make it easier to drive the cars, easier to ride the escalators or take the elevator, rather than use up any calories by actually moving. And my personal favorite actually is which I saw recently, is the drive-in pharmacy, where you can drive up to pick up the medication, which you may have needed less of if you'd actually been a bit more active. So we, as architects and planners, need to think about these things before we rush into them. So the measures that the Mayor announced today are a huge opportunity and a challenge for the design community to become part of the solution rather than part of the problem. The Center for Active Design will help professional designers and architects implement measures that promote physical activity in our daily lives in a natural and largely cost-neutral way. We're not asking people to spend a lot of money to increase mobility. In addition to the basic active design guidelines, which is this document that I think many of you have seen, the Center for Active Design has published a series of supplements on active design. There's one on active design and safety. There's one on active design in housing, ably assisted by Les Bluestone, who's here today, a developer who has implemented active design in some exemplary assisted housing projects. And just recently, our latest, an excellent design guide to designing better sidewalks, authored principally by Skye Duncan from our Department of City Planning, who's here today. And this talks about how to make sidewalks more active, more walkable, to keep people moving on the street and enhance the public realm. You can download all these guidelines off of the Center website, centerforactivedesign.org, and they're free in PDF form. We may want to charge people, I think, for the hard copies because they cost money. In addition, the Mayor's executive order that were announced today will ensure that the active design guidelines are implemented to the extent feasible in all city capital projects. And the proposed legislation will help all New Yorkers get access to staircases that are so often locked and inaccessible. And there is, incidentally, a lot of evidence to suggest that the use of staircases between floors, rather than waiting for the elevator banks, is actually an improvement in business efficiency, just because of the ease of communication rather than waiting for elevators. So that's in addition to any health benefits that they bring. So I'd like to thank the Mayor for his leadership on these measures. I'd like to thank Commissioner Farley for the terrific partnership we've had with the Health Department. We've also been ably assisted by the Parks Department, by Department of City Planning, by Department of Transportation. I see Wendy Foyer's here, our partner on the transportation side. The American Institute of Architects, who has been instrumental in bringing in the design community to promote active design, and they are also promoting the guidelines among their membership. I'd like to thank Joe Grummick and Leah Gartner for being our host today, for supporting the cause and for delivering an exemplary project across the street that demonstrates how one can implement the guidelines. And I'd like to thank and congratulate Roger Duffy of Skidmore, Owens & Merrill for demonstrating how active design can be beautifully done in the new building for the new school. So thank you, and I think it's over to Tom Farley.
Thank you, and good afternoon. We've talked a little bit today about physical activity as something that's health promoting. Many people understand that physical activity can help reduce rates of obesity, but they may not fully understand all of the health benefits of physical activity. So let me just go through this. These are the health benefits that you get even if you don't lose weight when you're more physically active. It reduces your risk of diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, stroke, colon cancer, maybe breast cancer, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, and depression. So you can really think of physical activity as a wonder drug, and better still than that, it's entirely free. But let's face it, most of us find difficulty finding enough time in the day to exercise. And in fact, only 30% of New Yorkers get recommended amounts of physical activity, and about 25% of New Yorkers aren't getting any exercise at all. So we need, from the perspective of a doctor and wanting to promote health, to make it so that we can incorporate physical activity into our daily routine. And that can only be done if we design our world so that we can do that. So several agencies, including the Health Department, created the active design guidelines that Commissioner Burney just talked about. What he didn't take credit for is the fact that those active design guidelines have now been distributed or downloaded more than 15,000 times, not just here in New York City, not just nationally, but around the world. They're truly a guide that people are using everywhere to make our places more physical activity friendly. Now I want to talk about stair climbing specifically for a minute. Stair climbing is an important, valuable, and under-recognized form of physical activity, something that we can easily incorporate into our daily lives, and something that's particularly important here in New York City, which is much more of a vertical city than other places. We know that regular stair use reduces your risk of stroke, it reduces your cholesterol levels, and it improves your overall cardiovascular health. So we in the Health Department want to encourage stair use. So because of that, we have distributed signs like this, burn calories, not electricity, to buildings across the city. We have now distributed more than 30,000 of these signs in over 1,000 buildings. And if you notice, there's one of them right on the wall back there by the elevator. And it's posted at the elevator to remind people when they're headed to a different floor that they can use the stairways instead. This is pretty simple and it's pretty cheap, but it's actually been shown to increase stair use by a study that we did. Now, we're going to continue to do that, but we recognize that in many buildings still it's difficult for people to find the stairway, or if they find the stairway it's locked, or if they find it and it's not locked, then they're a little afraid to go inside. And so the 2 stair bills that the mayor mentioned earlier today are going to do a couple of things. They're going to make the stairways more easy to find, so there'll be signs telling you where the stairway is. They're going to be making them more accessible, so they're more likely to be unlocked. And for new construction and renovation, there will be a requirement for a window in the stairway so you can look inside so that you're not quite so afraid of what might be behind there. So these are all very simple steps that are going to improve the health of all of us who live here in New York City for many years to come. So we're very excited about the announcement today, and we look forward to those bills becoming law as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Tom, thank you. We're also joined by Johanna Frank, Executive Director of the Center for Active Design. Johanna, you want to say a few words?
Thank you very much. So I'd like to take this opportunity to obviously thank the Mayor. Thank you very much for your unstinting support of active design. Also to the Deputy Mayors, Gibbs and Holloway, and to Commissioner Farley and Commissioner Burney, all of whom have been working on active design for the last 8 years. And it is because of their support that this has flourished and grown into the center, which we are celebrating today. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our Board of Directors for putting their trust in me. It's an honor to be running this, and I lead a very talented group of people, and we look forward to continuing the legacy of active design into this new phase. As you've heard from the preceding speeches, the guidelines was really a collaborative process, and it will be this kind of collaboration that we look forward to continuing in the future. Active design has the capacity to define a new normal, one in which design of buildings and streets purposefully encourages people to take physical activity and will improve access to food as part of their everyday lives. This isn't about going to the gym, this is about what you do as part of your daily routines. The design strategies are unique in that they've been developed using health evidence. This isn't something that was typical in the design profession before active design. And it's proven that these strategies can actually begin to reverse the epidemic of obesity. It's our mission to advance the use of active design by serving as a nonprofit to design professionals, policymakers, and to the real estate development community. Building on this cross-sector collaboration that already started with the guidelines, the Center embraces a multifaceted approach to incorporating the active design guidelines. We're looking at translating between the professions of health and the building profession, and using our ability to translate across concepts to actually advocate for the implementation of the strategies further. We're going to support the executive order, as was already mentioned, by providing training and workshops to New York City agencies and public and private sector designers here in the city, but we're also providing training and workshops to communities outside New York City. And there's already a demand. We've been working with London and the region of Peel in Ontario to provide similar services so that they can develop their own active design strategies that are uniquely crafted for their cities. Again, I'd like to thank you all for your support as we move forward with this, and we look forward to the new challenges ahead. Thank you very much.
Joanna, thank you. Liz Gartner is Vice President for Design, Construction, and Facilities Management here at the New School. Leah?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am honored to echo Joe Gromek's welcome on behalf of everyone in this community and to thank you and your administration, in particular the Department of Buildings, for their steady attention and support. There is a natural relationship between the mission of the Center for Active Design and the New School's urban location and outlook. Our students never drive to school. They don't have the patience to wait for our elevators. They don't simply use stuff. Critical to the New School's education mission is to teach the making of personal and public environments, whether clothing or buildings or the furnishings of our everyday existence. Even our scholarly endeavors are not passive. The intellectual climate of the New School is socially active and politically engaged. We aim to inhabit our world both thoughtfully and actively. We think our new building embodies that philosophy and perfectly illustrates the goals of the Center for Active Design. We're very proud of the University Center, and we're very happy for the opportunity to explain why we expect it to change New Yorkers' understanding of building design. It's my pleasure to introduce the designers of the New Schools University Center, Roger Duffy and his able staff from the firm of Skidmore, Owings & Merrill. We asked Roger and his colleagues to create for us not simply a building, but a campus center, one which takes inside the streets that define us, leads them up to all floors, and like the city it reflects, provides opportunities for spontaneous meeting, group interaction, and a sense of purpose for our activities. We take the active part of the word activities seriously, and in the talented hands of these architects, so does this building. Roger?
I'm here to briefly describe the building that my architectural colleagues and I did for the new school, but also to celebrate two bold initiatives. One, we're looking at outside the window here, the initiative of the new school to, in a sense, invert a building, to put on exhibit as the iconography of this building the activities, the wonderful pulsating activities of the new school. And second, the mayor's initiative for these active design guidelines. Both bold things, and we should applaud both of these initiatives in different ways. Just to describe the building from the get-go, it was all about exhibiting the activity of this new university center, and it's a reliance on stairs, not elevators, for this building. So we designed that early on, the elevator system, to have skip stops. So during peak times when classrooms are changing over, the elevators stop on particular floors. When the elevator doors open, the stair locations are intuitive and obvious, so you understand how to navigate and process through the building. Outside those peak times, the elevators stop at every floor, or if you're disabled, obviously, they stop at every floor. So we worked with the city building department, someone who's not represented here today, to create these very innovative stair systems within the building. So the stairs that you're seeing embossed on the facade of the building are the fire stairs for the building, a very unusual feature. These fire stairs, because they're on the exterior, can be full glass to the outside. So as the students and faculty ambulate through this building, they have full glass to the outside, and you begin to experience the city at many wonderful levels. You don't even know you're exercising or walking through this building because it's a new way of seeing the city. The stairs are also innovative in that there is a stair on top of the stair. So there's an enclosed fire stair with full glass to the outside, but also a stair on top of the stair that Tishman Construction helped us create that is open to the spaces within. All of those things promote not only physical activity ambulating through the building, but interaction between students and other students and faculty. And through these chance encounters, we think it supports the new school's pedagogy that chance meetings provokes curiosity, et cetera. So we're very proud to have been associated with this bold endeavor, and we're very happy that, as a coincidence, that it supports a very important initiative by the mayor. So thank you very much.
Roger, thank you. Before we take questions, let me just summarize today's announcement for our Spanish speakers. Estamos lanzando 3 iniciativas de diseño en edificios y espacios públicos para fomentar la actividad física. Estas iniciativas, incluyendo un nuevo centro de diseño activo, nos ayudará a combatir la obesidad de sus efectos en nuestra ciudad. Durante esta ola de calor extremo, tomen precauciones, visiten a sus vecinos mejores y si no tienen aire acondicionado, por favor visiten uno de nuestros más de 400 centros de enfriamiento en los 5 condados. And with that, we'll be happy to take some questions.